Welcome to Of Sound Mind and Spirit. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Lisa. We're sisters walking together on a journey of faith. We're not perfect.
We definitely don't have all the answers. We're inviting you to walk with us as we explore ways we can better know and grow in our faith together. Welcome back to another episode from Of Sound Mind and Spirit. Happy birthday, Lisa.
Thanks.
I already have your present. Can you imagine what it might be?
No. You want to give me a hint?
Well, it could be a pillow. It could be a book. It could be none of the above.
Well, I do love a good throw pillow, and I love many, many books. Just don't tell my husband because I've got stacks of both.
So what I'm hearing you say is I should give you a book because he would never notice an additional book.
That might be true. And I did just buy myself a new throw pillow, so
Ooh.
He did notice, by the way. Well, I know that, you know, the listeners know, everybody knows that I like to read and you like to read because I think out of the, about 20 episodes that we've prepped or recorded, today is about to be our third episode all about reading. Am I right?
You say that like it might be a negative, but I think it's a positive.
Depends on people like reading or not.
Well, they wouldn't follow us if they didn't because we're always posting pictures of the books we're reading.
That's partially true. But we also do support audiobooks. You don't have to actually physically read it. You can listen. That is perfectly okay.
My son and I are listening to an audiobook every day going to school on that drive to school.
And if you're not sure about reading, dear listener, go back to episode 3, Tips to Grow in Spiritual Reading. Really understand why we love to read and the benefits that we see from spiritual reading.
Saint Josemaria Escriva once said, "Reading has made many saints."
I like that. Maybe I can use that as my reason for my obsession.
Well, Lisa, you know, we've been going to several different Catholic conferences recently over the last year and a half, and we keep meeting these wonderful men and women who write Catholic-based books, either spiritual books or fiction books, which we didn't even realize there was a whole fiction genre for Catholic writers. One of the things we keep hearing is that they largely market their own material.
The publishers help. It's just there's not the budget like you think of these big New York Times bestsellers. So what we've learned is it's a niche market and that the publishers really expect them to have an audience and to work hard at making those connections and really helping to sell the book. And it's such an interesting problem because how do you make those connections? We read them and we know these authors. So that's what we're here to talk about is how do we help them get supported and make these connections because we love spiritual reading. And I hope if you're listening that you love it too.
And good Catholic fiction too. I read some of those. Those are really good.
Because like you said, we didn't really know that genre even existed until meeting a lot of those authors last year. So let's find out ways that we can help support them and ease their marketing so that they can get back to writing more books that we can read.
The first thing, of course, is to purchase the book.
Right.
Or you could get the audiobook if one exists. But for a lot of these authors that we've met, I don't know how many have audiobooks of their writings out yet. I say yet because I am always hopeful that these will be made into audiobooks as well.
From what I've seen on Audible, and we still have that free trial going on for Audible. And so I'll put that you will put that in the show notes. I think that more and more, that's what I'm seeing. More and more of them are, they're seeing the value of having audiobooks. And I've talked about that with our book group. Like some women don't have time to read and they want to listen. And so either purchase the book or the audiobook and then read it. Or you could be like me, have stacks of books that I have the best of intentions of getting to all of them.
When you get a book from a Catholic writer, share a picture of it on Instagram or Facebook or social media and highlight the fact that you're reading it.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know how many episodes ago it was, the social media post one, we talked about putting out good, positive content. This is a really easy way to be that positive person on social media. Take that picture, share it. You could pose like you're sitting out in the garden or something pretty, or you could just throw it on the table and take a picture. I don't know, but I love that because a lot of times people comment like, "Oh my gosh, I've read that," or "Where'd you get that?" or "Is it any good?" or
Hmm.
that's a
Right.
great conversation starter.
Right. And I'll give you another one. Don't just buy a copy of the book, also request that your library purchase it. Most public libraries, somewhere on their website, they have a tab or somewhere you can go and enter a recommendation for them to purchase a book. I don't know if you buy a copy and give it to the library if they'll automatically accept it and put it in, but you could always ask your reference librarian how they handle referrals or if you can donate copies for the library.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about asking about donating in that way, but I've been surprised. Some of these books that I've looked up, especially the fiction books, our library does carry them, Catholic fiction, and then a lot of the nonfiction they don't. But I have done this. I have requested or put it in. Like, oh, you should buy this book. And when they've done it, when the library has bought the book, they send me an email that says, per my recommendation, they bought the book. And then I was going to say, make a point to go check it out. So don't just
Absolutely.
request it, but even if you've read the book, even if you have a copy of it at home, go check it out because, well, you could say this better than me, right? It makes a difference. They keep records of how many times a book gets checked out or something.
Yeah, that's circulation statistics. So every time a book gets checked out, it gets marked, not who, it's not always linked to who anymore, but it improves that book's circulation numbers. And when they do go through, okay, this is a little secret. Libraries cull their titles. Okay, so they do remove titles from time to time, especially if a book's not getting circulated. That means nobody's
Oh.
reading it. So if you are repetitively checking out a book, they're going to see that it's getting attention and they'll be more likely to order more books in the same genre or leave it in circulation because it's popular.
Ooh, I like that. I did not even think about that before. So, yeah, so check it out. Go to your library, look and see if they have Catholic fiction or nonfiction, and then start checking those out, even if you already have it at home. I really like that one. That's good.
And in the same vein as the library and circulation statistics, where you want to see it really clearly, an example would be to go on Goodreads.
Yes,
Because,
yes, we love Goodreads.
right, on Goodreads, you can add books to your want to read and then hopefully read it and move it to your read shelf or read or read. I guess it's a read
It's
shelf.
read, right? Yeah. Or reading and then read. I never really thought about putting it in my want to read. Sometimes I just won't worry about it until I actually pick it up to read it, and then I'll just move it straight to reading. But I actually saw this from a Catholic author that I started following, Catholic fiction author, and she commented when she had a new book come out. I'm on her email list, and she said that like, would you go and put it in your want to read, what do you call it, shelf on Goodreads? Because that means something. It shows that people are interested in the book, and it really helps. And so I never thought of that before.
Right, the power of suggestion. Because what happens is if you're like me and you get that Goodreads email that comes out, what, a couple times a week, maybe it's daily, and you can look and see what your friends are reading. So they're it's kind of like peer pressure, but peer pressure sounds so negative. I don't mean that negatively, but it's like peer pressure that, oh, my friend's reading this. And I've picked up several titles just because a friend either has recently read it and recommended it on Goodreads or they put it in their want to read shelf.
Hmm.
It popped up in my email and I was able to read the description for it and go, oh, that actually sounds really good. I'm going to add that same book to my want to read shelf
Mm.
and then go back and when I need something to read, which, okay, admittedly, with shelves and stacks isn't really, but when I'm looking for something that isn't already in my house to read.
Or sometimes
or
it's a
to remind myself
reminder.
that I
Yeah.
forgot about it. I go back to that Goodreads want to read shelf and choose something there.
And I've actually seen books pop up in that email that friends are reading or suggested or whatever that I didn't even know the author had a new book out.
Oh, yes.
And then suddenly you see it and it's an author that I've read and I really like. And so then it triggers and I'm like, oh, I need to go get that book. I need to go read it. And so it's a great way that, like you said, power of suggestion to kind of help
Mhm.
get it out there.
Mhm. Well, and if you want to know if an author's got a new book coming out, you should go and follow the author on Goodreads and on Amazon because you can set notifications and you'll get an email or a notification
Mm,
that a new book is being released. And you can go and pre order it, or you can go ahead and pick it up
that's a
or
good
add it
one.
to your shelf and then go pick it up.
Yeah. And some authors do have email lists. So that they have a
Mhm.
website and then an email list and you can sign up that way too. The other thing I really like to do with Goodreads is as I'm reading a book, I do have bookmarks a lot of the time. But I also put the page number that I'm on in my Goodreads. It'll let you update your progress. And there this is so silly. It's like a to-do list that you cross off. So like I like that progress bar because I'm at 40%. Oh, I'm at 60%. I don't know. It's just that gamification of life thing. But when you're updating, your friends can see it. And I have friends on Goodreads that like click like on my progress. So it's
Well,
just showing you that people see it. And so again, it's another way to kind of get it out there. Like, this is a good book. I'm reading it. Um,
well, y'all go follow Lisa for that. Don't look at mine because I still have Diana Gabaldon's last book on on my reading progress, and it's been 2 or 3 years. I was reading it slowly so I could savor it and not just like power through it in two and a
and you
half
didn't
days.
finish it?
I didn't update the.
Oh, but you finished it. Oh, ooh, I can't do that. That's like a to-do list with something not crossed off. I can't do that. No, I get all excited to meet my reading challenge every year.
I just don't often think to go and update. So that's a good tip. I will have to do that now. I'll go clean it up.
Here's one that I need to do, and that's write reviews on
Yes.
Amazon, Goodreads, Barnes and Noble, wherever you buy books, social media, post, share, write. And I'm bad about this. I read so much and I feel this pressure that I have to write these very well written, like essays about the book. And I just need to get over that. And no, just a couple of you tell me if I'm right here because you write a lot of reviews. A couple of sentences? What do I need to say? Because it feels overwhelming.
A couple of sentences works. You can say what it was you liked about the book. You can just say, hey guys, I really like this book because I thought the plot line was fantastic, or I just couldn't put it down, or the characters were so relatable, or the dialogue had me laughing, or it brought out all these emotions. And you kind of get the picture.
Yeah,
Like,
I need to
okay,
get over it and just write it, right?
yes, yes. No one is grading it, Lisa. No one is critiquing. This isn't a law school review.
I feel such anxiety about these.
What is it you said about being authentic? You just write what you liked about the book, click done.
Okay, I cried, I laughed, it had me on the edge of my seat. Check.
There, that's it. 3 sentences, you're done. Just don't copy and paste the same review from book to book to book.
No, 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 no. But when I've done them, I do make sure that Goodreads is owned by Amazon. So I'll go in and put it on Goodreads, and then I'll go in and put it on Amazon. I have a Barnes and Noble account, so I have put reviews on Barnes and Noble before, and then of course we write reviews on our website. We do that with books. Again, not as many as we have read because otherwise our website would be nothing but book reviews.
And that's good for some, but not for us.
Yeah.
We chose not to make our website one big, long book review. So,
Yeah. But every once in a while, I do like to take pictures and put them on social media of the books. I just don't always go back and give the review afterwards.
and that brings out something else, which is You need to be sharing those reviews because you want to recommend the book to your friends. And that includes people you know in person, like your book group. I saw you recently picked up a new book for your fall 2023 session and you shared it on social.
I did. I did. I did a little short video reel announcing what book we were reading for our book group. And that's something fun at our book group. We talk we talk a lot about recommendations and other books, and we're always sharing with each other about what we're reading. So if you have friends that like to read, or just some people don't know where to start.
Hmm. I noticed that the author gave you a shout out back.
She did. Emily did. She gave me a shout out that she was really happy that I shared her book. So, oh, I guess I could say what it is, couldn't I? Since we just mentioned her. The book that we're reading for fall of 2023 is Holy Habits from the Sacred Heart by Emily Jaminet, and it's published by Ave Maria Press. There's the
Yay.
shout out. So we're very excited. I haven't started it. I've done the intro, but we meet for the first chapter next week.
Oh, you'll have to give us a little update online then.
How it's
Maybe
going.
not in the podcast, but you can update us on your Goodreads, your progress, and then you can update on
Oh,
Instagram and or your story and share now and again how it's going.
I don't think I put it in Goodreads yet. Oops. Okay,
Ooh.
I got to go do that. Something else I just thought of while we were talking, this is not on my list. You mentioned about donating to the library. And I would even say when you're done with a book, maybe you could, if your church has a library. Some churches have parish libraries for reading that maybe if you get, like I'm always giving books to friends. So, give the book away when you're done with it, to encourage other people to read it and share it. I'd rather you, I mean, I'm sure the author would rather you buy a copy, but if it gets the word out, spreads the word, that's good too.
I use books for gifts often. So
Oh,
I'll take advantage. Sometimes there are sales on some of our Catholic publishers that we're familiar with. You mentioned Ave Maria, so I'll let that one stand. I won't mention more.
no, you get Loyola Press does it. Our Sunday Visitor does it. They run these huge sales, right?
Yes. And so if I see that one of our Catholic publisher friends are having a book sale or they've got a 25% off code, I'll share the code with everybody in my different friend groups. And sometimes I'll even go on and buy 3 or 4 titles with the intention of giving them away at the holidays for gifts or for a birthday or something like that. And no, you're not getting one of those for me when we have lunch next week. So
I really like that idea because I get those emails from the publishers when they're running these sales. And you're right, that's a great idea to email it out to everybody and say, hey, this is here's the coupon code. Everybody likes a sale, right? Here's a coupon code. Remember that book I was telling you about? Go grab it right now. I like that. That's a really good one.
yeah, I've also done it as like a bulk order where everybody pays me and I'll place one big order and I'll get the code and the free shipping and then I'll distribute it.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Now, what about a local? We do have local bookstores, Catholic bookstores
Yes.
specifically, but just local bookstores in general. And I will say, even Barnes and Noble, like big, what do you call it? Like brick and mortar, like an actual store. They do have spiritual sections, so you can go and you can find Catholic books and spiritual books in the actual stores. But what if? So this works for a Catholic bookstore or non-Christian, like a secular bookstore. Like if they don't have the book you're looking for or the author, request it.
Yes.
I mean,
That's true.
that's the same. I mean, we talked about the library, but it works for bookstores too. To go and request they carry it. Go look and see if they have it. And I've run into this a lot with our local Catholic bookstore when I go in there. First of all, sometimes it's kind of cool to go in there. They don't have as varied a selection maybe as I'm looking for, but I have found some really neat books just by browsing that I didn't know existed, which
I was just about to mention that. We're on the same wavelength on that one, Lisa. And they're dangerous for me because if I'm standing in that Catholic bookstore, I'm actually more likely to impulse buy a title
mhm.
than I am to take a picture of it and go get it on Amazon later. I
Mhm.
just there's something about being right there and you pick it up and you've got it in your hand and you're browsing, you're like, it's I'm buying it right now because I really want to take it home and finish reading it.
Yeah, and there is something when I'm there, I do tend to buy more than I came in for because yeah,
Surprise. I'm
it's
so shocked.
right in front of you. Yeah. And well, and I do like to support them too. I obviously use Amazon a lot for things, but I do like to physically support these locally owned shops. So I am more likely to buy a bunch more titles when I go in there. But
Mhm.
I have recommended many times books that they don't carry, and they're usually very receptive to it.
They want to know what their shoppers want, so they're going to put it in there.
Yeah, that's really good. It's just there's so
I
many
know.
good books, so many good authors, and I feel like all we can do, and I think that's why we're doing this episode. Like, how can we get the word out? Because I know what a difference spiritual reading, has made in my faith life, and so it's just one of those things you want to help everyone else realize how amazing it is and how can really influence your spiritual life.
Well, and I also like a good fiction book from time to time. And I remember being so surprised at how many Catholic writers produce fiction books. And I had never read any of them. So I would encourage you also to check out fiction by Catholic writers too.
Hmm. I think you found a quote from St. John Bosco that you wanted to share, and I think it works really well right here.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, only God knows the good that can come about from reading one good Catholic book, and that is St. John Bosco. And you never know how books are going to influence or inspire people. You saying that reminds me now of St. Ignatius of Loyola. And he actually started on his spiritual journey because he'd been injured, he was laid up for many months, and he started reading, and the only thing he had was a book about the lives of saints. And he was so inspired by this book of these saints and their lives that he said, I want to imitate them. I want to be like them. And so when he was well and he went back out, he was a soldier, and he started to imitate the lives of the saints.
Yeah. Well, when we did our St. Monica episode, that Saint for Worried Parents, I can't remember the name of it. And anyway, but that's how I got connected to St. Monica was I picked up a book and then I realized, oh my gosh, this makes such a special connection for me, wanting to pray for my husband first and then for my kids. So you don't know the influence it's going to have in your life, and it can
That's right.
definitely influence and change us.
So, Lisa, if our listeners wanted to know where can they find specifically Catholic writers,
Ooh.
what are some places where we might look?
Well, first, I'm going to say go back to, well, we're going to put it in the show notes, but our episode Tips for Spiritual Reading, you and I made a spiritual reading recommendation list that were books that really greatly influenced us. So we'll put that in the show notes. And again, show notes are just when you're looking at your podcast player, it's if you go to the episode in the podcast player, there's a like paragraph underneath it, and we'll put the links in there for these different things that we're talking about. And Shell, you had a really good one about where to find.
Right. Okay. So there is a Catholic Writers Guild, which is an organization that supports Catholic writers, and they have something called a seal of approval. Now, it's not a literary award. It's meant to help people like you and bookstores know that the book that they're buying is actually Catholic. It adheres to the Catholic truth and it doesn't deviate in any way. So you know it's going to have that value on it. And they actually have a list of all their titles that have received this seal of approval. It's adult fiction, adult nonfiction, poetry, any genre that you can think of. There's young adult and teens, and there's even a list for children's titles.
I like that. You can also go to the Catholic Company. They carry all the books, so you can go to them and peruse them online. Your local Catholic bookstore, if you have one, definitely walk in there and browse. And then I would say the different publishers that we've mentioned, check them out. They have so many. Just be prepared, y'all. You're going to be overwhelmed with the titles, and you're going to want to buy them all.
I was about to say we could put a list of some of the publishers on there, but oh my gosh, it would be exhaustive.
It's a very long list. Yes. Well, I was going to say if you come across a book and you're like, I don't know, should I read it? Should I not? feel free to like instant message us, don't you think? And ask if we've read it.
Chances are we have.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, my friends in person are always asking, like, Lisa, have you read this? Lisa, do you have this book? What do you think? So, gosh, just send us an instant message. We'll tell you.
Mhm. You saying that reminds me of something I did last year. I did a reading challenge last year.
Oh, yes, you were brave. Yeah.
So at the end of the year, I posted for my friends to send me the recommendations of good books to read in 2023. And I was looking for 12 titles. That's one book for each month. And the only rule was they could only give me one. They couldn't give me 12. They could give me one. It had to be a book they've read and love. So they had to have read it. And it had to be a book I hadn't read before. It didn't take as long as I expected because I only had, I think, 3 or 4 that I was like, yeah, I love that book. I've already read it.
I think you
But
filled that challenge up in about 20 minutes.
no, actually, it took me 2 days.
Oh.
And I'm on schedule at the moment, and some of them were Catholic and some of them were not. But I would extend to our listeners that they should try something similar. Of course, it should match whatever your reading time allows for. So if you want to do a book a month for a year, if you want to just do 3, invite your friends or other people to suggest a book they've read and love, and then you turn around and recommend good titles that you've read and love.
I like that. The reason I think that's so brave of you to put it out there, because I have so many books I already want to read that when I invite recommendations like that, my brain just goes crazy because there's just not enough time in the day and I'm already reading all the time. But I love it because you got several books that you probably had heard. I think you wouldn't have picked up necessarily, and you fell in love with them.
Oh my gosh, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn was amazing. And then An Unusual Book, The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell. I would have never read that book, and it was really good.
Yeah, I might have to do that this next year. Maybe I'll come out of my comfort zone and open myself up to do it.
This year, I'll post mine on Sound Mind and Spirit social media, and I'll take recommendations from our listeners.
That's good. I like it. And you had a little graphic and everything that you used, didn't you?
I did. I did not create that graphic. It was something that was kind of going around social at the time, but maybe this year I'll create a graphic.
That's a good challenge.
I'll put our cute little Sound Mind and Spirit logo on it.
There you go. I like it.
Well, we still want to know what you're reading, and we still want to know if you have any particular Catholic authors, fiction or nonfiction, that you would recommend to us. You don't have to wait for me to put it on social and say, send me one for 12, one for each month of the year. Go ahead and let us know what you recommend.
Oh, I like that. Or yeah, tell us who you recommend. Who's your favorite?
We can't name names right now because we're trying really hard not to
I know.
We start calling out our friends. We're going to be like, somebody else be like, well, you didn't mention me.
I know. It's hard. It's hard.
All right, Lisa, are you ready to find out what I'm going to give you for your birthday then?
Oh, I'd forgotten. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it right now.
No, because it's not wrapped yet. You know me. I've got to go dig through all that clutter in that closet under the stairs and find the wrapping paper. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Leave us a review, because the same thing we were talking about on books works for podcasts too. We really want you to leave us a rating and a review on the podcast, wherever you listen, so that we can be found by other people too.
And if you don't know how to leave us a review, we're going to put a little graphic on Instagram and Facebook, and just go there and check it out, because it's really a lot easier than you think it is. And you can do it straight into your podcast player and just type, like we said, quick 1-sentence review. Don't overthink it. Like, don't be Lisa, be Shelley. All right. As always, thank you for listening. We hope that you'll subscribe and send us a message or review or something. Let us know what you've enjoyed. And we hope to find out who your favorite author is so that we can check it out.
Thanks everyone for listening to us today. We can't wait to see what you recommend.